I can't even begin to express how discouraged I am right now. And it's kind of a long story and partially my fault, not partially my fault, but anyway, and I'll explain. All right, so currently I'm sitting 2 miles up. Well, that's the direction I'm going, which is down. Just came from that way. Anyway, I am 2 miles up this snowmobile trail, which I was told was Kelsey Notch Trail, which is what I was supposed to be on, but it's not. Avenza's been acting all goofy, and right off the bat this morning, it had me way far away from where I thought I was. Now, granted, I didn't get to Bald Head Shelter last night. And what happened was I came down the Wind Farm Road, and then I was supposed to turn right and go 0.7 miles down, I think it's Kelsey Notch Road. And what happened was I was sitting there and an ATV guy went by and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Actually, no, I'm not going to make it to the shelter tonight. I'm really I'm tuckered out." It was like 8:30. I don't know, maybe only 8 o'clock. But anyway, he said, "Well, I'll give you a ride down the road to the bridge," because I told him I needed to turn at the bridge. And so he took me down there, and then he said, "That's Kelsey Notch Trail," pointed to a trail, and there you have it. Now, I thought we drove farther than 0.7 miles, but I'm not sure, and he was going kind of fast, and it's all bumpy, and you're in these ATV. Anyway, I'm sure it's great fun, but I was not in the right frame of mind to really be paying attention. But I think he took me a lot farther down Kelsey Notch Road because, which is why this morning my phone had me way off where I thought I was. So right there by the bridge, which is where he left me, but apparently it wasn't the right bridge, there was a trail that went up, and he had said that's Kelsey Notch Trail. And so I started up it, no signs. That does not surprise me on the Cohos Trail, so I wasn't too concerned about that. There was not a single blaze, not a single sign. It didn't even have a sign that said it was Kelsey Notch Trail. Nothing. No, nothing there at all. Just a snowmobile trail going up an embankment, which is what the instructions are. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll just keep going. And Avenza was still showing me way off. It's showing me like on the other side of Bald Head Mountain, which is no way I should be way over there. I just kept saying, you know what, I'm used to there not being any blazes on these snowmobile trails and ATV trails. They just don't bother. And I'll just keep going. And Avenza was acting all screwy yesterday and had me half a mile off trail, and I was in the right place. So anyway, I am 2 miles in. The shelter was supposed to be at 1.8. I know I am now on completely the wrong location. I have cell service up here. So I managed to go on all trails and find out where I really am. I'll show you a screenshot. And now I have to walk 2 miles back down, and I don't know how far I have to walk on Kelsey Notch Road back in the direction we had come from because he took me way too far. But that's what I have to do, and then I still have 9 something miles to do today. So yeah, I'm not I'm not in a good place. But you know, I'll get there. Right now, I'm just going to take a break. And, everything's sopping wet. Oh my gosh. Everything was covered in slugs this morning. That was lovely. Yeah, everything was covered in slugs. And it was just, yeah. I'm wet. I'm muddy. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later. So, I'm in the bald head shelter with an absolutely horrible hang in here, and yes, I'm in the shelter with a hammock. They are tearing the shelter down this year anyway, but and it's a horrible hang. I'm like in an L shape in it, but it's cold and wet, and I'm freezing and cold and wet and all that. We got here about 1:15 after the horrible 2-mile trek up and back down the wrong trail. And then I got back down to the road where the guy in the ATV had dropped me off last night, and I was sitting there by the bridge trying to look at the map and trying to figure out how far I had to go down the road, because he took me way too far down the road, if that makes sense. It probably should in the screenshot I showed you earlier, but anyway, I was sitting there trying to figure that out in the rain, and he drove by, and he wasn't driving, he was sitting in the passenger seat, so he was on my side, and he said, "Oh wait, there she is, stop." So they backed up, and he goes, "How did it go last night?" I said, "Well, it went fine last night, but not so well this morning." And I told him what happened. I don't know if I've already told you all this. Anyway, so he took me back down the trail to where he should have dropped me off the night before, which was at least a mile away, if not farther. And sure enough, there's a little CT sign, southbound, and he said, "Well, I never saw that last night in the dark." And I'm like, "Well, no, it was dark and it was raining, and so yeah, I didn't see it either." And he said, I've seen people with a backpack going up that trail that I showed you that I thought was the right one." I said, "It's not your fault." Honestly, I said, "Why would you know where the trail is?" And anyway, he goes, "Well, at least now I know where to really direct people." He said, "Because I've seen people going up that." And I said, "Yeah, they were probably all lost." So anyway, yeah, so then I went up the Kelsey Notch Trail, which is what I was supposed to go. And that was a nice trail. I mean, was it difficult? Yes. It was very, very steep in places. There were step-ups that were higher than I could actually step. So I had to get on my hands and knees and crawl my way up it, that kind of thing. And we were both cold and wet, and just it was miserable in that sense, but the trail itself was very well maintained. There were several blowdowns that were recently cut up, so I know they've maintained it this spring. There was one blowdown we had to go over, and I think that's probably a really recent one because the branches are still on it and everything, and it's kind of that. I know 2 people have come in the other direction in the last couple of days, and so you could tell they've broken some of the branches off to get them out of the way and to get over. And anyway, so yeah, Kelsey Trail was, is it Kelsey Trail? I don't even remember now. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but anyway, it was great. Lots of mud though, like everywhere else, and about 2 tenths from the shelter, I fell. And it must have been comical if anybody would have seen it, because first I started to fall backward or forwards, and then I caught myself, and then my foot came out of my shoe because it was stuck in the mud, and I got twisted, and then I went down backwards with a log between my legs, and the way I landed, I had my left leg out in front of me, my right leg back behind me, and I was on my back, on my backpack, like a turtle on his back, flailing around, trying to figure out how to... It took me forever to get my right leg around back in front of me again. I was just in a really weird position, and just laying flat out, full on, in this mud. So yeah, as if I wasn't cold and not wet enough before we got here. That really did me in. So we've been here quite a while. It's already 4:30. I'm just putting on. I dug into my food bag and I I didn't do hot dinners for every night just because I figured there were some nights I wouldn't want to bother. And so although I had a hot dinner for tonight, it was pizza, and I really don't feel like making pizza. It just requires too much fiddling and fettling and all that stuff, and I'm not in the mood for it. So I dug into so day 7, which is today, even though I should be one shelter ahead, was pizza. Day 8 is not anything hot, and then day 9 was this another naked soup packet. This one is Thai style coconut and lemongrass, and then I have lemon pepper tuna to put in it. And so I'm letting the soup soak for a little bit before I actually cook it. Wiggles has finally dried up fairly well, not completely. We snuggled in the hammock for a while, but then I was just getting really, really cold. I was shivering, and I'm like, why am I so cold? Is my underquilt all wet from last night? Because it's actually down. Is this one down? Yes, this one's down. So if it gets wet, it's useless. So I got up. Wiggles wanted to get up anyway because he was tired of being in there. And I got up, and come to find out, the one end of the underquilt wasn't hooked in at the top of the hammock. So it was like gapping wide open and letting all the cold air in. I did do, let me show you here around the, I don't know if you can tell. I hung my tarp in front of the big wide door so that the wind isn't blowing so bad. So that's helped a whole lot. And I've got my puffy on. My fleece is laying on top of Wiggles because I know he's cold, but he's laying on his... Oh, where did he go? Oh gosh. Hold on. Oh my gosh, he had scared the bejesus out of me. He had gone outside. Like, he is a runner. I never have him off leash because he will run like the wind. Hey, no, you lay down right here. Yeah, lay down here. Over here, on your mat. On your mat so you're warm. Anyway, sorry. He had gotten up and eaten some of his food, and I didn't even hear that. And then he decided to go outside and pee. And when I first looked outside, he was not there. I didn't see him anywhere, so I ran back in and just to double check that I didn't miss him in here somewhere. Where are we? I can't find where I am. There we go. No, you get over here. Whoop. Camera just fell. Yeah, lay down. I'll cover you up. There we go. I'll cover you up again. Okay. I don't know if you can see him better now. Anyway, sorry this is taking forever, but so I ran back in real quick to make sure I didn't miss him in here, and nope. Oh, where'd you go? Now he's walking off with my coat. Hold on. Anyway, when I went back out after looking in here again real quick, there he was walking up to the door from, I don't know, somewhere else, because he hadn't been out there just a second ago. So yeah. Excuse me, quite the panic there, but anyway, I have things strung up everywhere, trying to maybe dry. Just stuff all over the place. And stuff on the other side too, but anyway. But yeah, I'm finally getting warm. Although my feet are still cold, but I don't have dry wool socks to put on. I just have my lightweight, fluffy lightweight, fluffy socks that I sleep in when I'm in my hammock. Because all my socks are soaking wet, both pair of Vinginji, both pair of regular ones. I've been like washing a pair out, hanging them on my backpack to dry all day while I'm hiking, and then that's the pair I'll put on the next morning. And of course, yesterday they were just about dry, hanging on my pack, and then this downpour all of a sudden came and just whoosh. And that was when I was waiting for the guy to come back with the ATV who was going to pick me up to take me down that 0.7 mile of road. Only he took me like, I don't know, almost 2. Anyway, I said at one point when we were driving, it seems like we've gone farther than 0.7. Because yeah, this is a rough road. That's not what I meant, but anyway, he was really nice. The poor guy, he felt really bad this morning when he found out he had taken me way too far. I said, it's not your fault. I said, the whole thing is just like a comedy of errors. I mean, on a whole lot of, it's on a whole lot of people. Mostly me, but anyway. Yeah, so Kelsey Notch Trail is actually like the kind of trail I would expect or want or desire. It's challenging and difficult, and it's in the woods, and it's not like some wide trail. It's been well maintained, which again, that's not always possible. But you can tell, like on that Dixville bypass trail, it hasn't been maintained, I don't think, ever. I mean, there are downed trees that have been there that are rotting. I mean, like, are rotting in place. So you can't tell me anybody's ever tried to maintain that trail. And maybe whoever is responsible for that trail doesn't care about the downed trees. I mean, maybe they just figure that's not their job to cut them up. I don't know. Maybe nobody is actually assigned that section of trail. So it's just been left on its own forever. But that was just really, really difficult. And what threw me so far off in trying to get to the shelter last night. So I'm a day behind. Now I'm going to be 17 days in instead of 16 days in. I took 2 extra days of vacation. 1 day to mow all my grass and 1 day to drive all the way back up here to pick up all the caches. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I know at one point in time when I was planning, there's another really short day I have. I think it's like the night I'm going to stay at Cabot. I think that's only like a 6-mile day. I may look to see how far the next day is supposed to be and if I can combine them. Obviously, I'm going to make that decision when I hike that day to Cabot, because if it takes me forever, then I'm not going to be able to continue on. But that might be one option to keep it to 16 days. Yeah, so today's been kind of a wasted day because all I did was the 2 miles up and back, 4 miles, and then I think it ended up being 1.93 to the shelter. It's supposed to be 1.8, but on my Garmin it was 1.93. So, yeah, not very much mileage today, but I feel it was the right decision to just go ahead and stay here and not try to push, because it was 10.5 miles. Today was supposed to be, day 7 was supposed to be 10.5 miles. And there was no way I was going to do that when I got here at 1:15 and wanting to unpack everything and sort of like reorganize, just because everything was such a mess the way I packed it this morning on the side of the road. And everything was so wet, and I just wanted time to get warm and dry up. Me, not my clothes. My clothes are going to be wet. They're going to be wet still in the morning when I put them on. I'm fine with that. They were wet this morning when I put them on. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. But me, myself, I need to be dry and warm. And Wiggles certainly needs to be dry and warm, because he was miserable yesterday too. He seems pretty good now. He's eaten some of his food, and right now he's licking his paws. Poor thing. I probably should put some salve on him. So I've rambled on long enough. So all right. I'll probably close this out here. Then nothing more exciting. I mean, I'm gonna eat dinner, and then we're probably gonna turn in fairly early and try to get up early and get a move on and get those 10.5 miles out tomorrow. All right. Bye bye.